All right. Peace and power. Race first to our panelists and viewers. This is Team RBG, Code Enforcement Committee, bringing you another live discussion. We will be on every fourth Saturday in the month. We will be on to continue conversations that are heavily needed because we are in a Black state of emergency. Team RBG is sounding the 1212 Ubuntu alarm in response, and we intend to put out consistent messaging to guide our people. Our objective must be to build communities that network together to form a nation. You can connect with Team RBG by visiting our website. That's teamrbg.com, where we currently have a collaborative effort to provide music to realign our minds. So that's chapter 1 of the Black State of Emergency Project. You can go on our website and check that out. You can also email us at teamredblackgreen@gmail.com. You can reach us on all socials, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, at teamrbg_Inc. And if that's not exactly the name, you can just look for our logo, because we are coming with authentic Pan-African views, aiding in our sovereignty. Also, I want to say that when you recognize that commitment outlasts doubt and excuses, that's when you know that you're on code, working towards the liberation of Black African people throughout the diaspora. So today, we are furthering the conversation around rites of passage, evolving from youth to adulthood and adulthood to elderhood. And so this is our international conversation, bringing in our family on the continent. So I would like to allow the guests to introduce themselves. I am on here right now with my brother Big Rock and my sister Jennifer from Team RBG. And so I'm gonna allow space for Sister Vicky to introduce herself, and then Sister Olajide.
Peace and power. I'm Sister Victoria from Kenya, and I do village programs about RBG, Pan-Africanism, and Ubuntu cadets. So I teach in the village and also gather information of how Africans work, because in African village is easy for us to find the elders who were there mostly colonial period, so they can talk to us and explain how life was, and that's the kind of information we want, so we can grow into responsibilities as the Black community.
Okay, we appreciate that, Sister Vicky. Sister Olajide, can you okay, introduce yourself, please.
Alafia, everyone, peace and blessings. First and foremost, I just would like to acknowledge our panelists, Miss Victoria, and all of the brothers and sisters. I just appreciate you for your efforts, all of your efforts, and may the ancestors provide you with strength to continue, and may this platform that you have been developing, may you gain more support, may you gain more exposure on all that you are doing for African descendants. My name is Olajide Ayodeji Makinde Ojefamola. I am a chief priestess. I'm currently right here, right now in Osogbo, Nigeria. I had the honor and privilege to actually be brought up in Yoruba culture in the United States through the lineage of Oyotunji Afrikan Village. I am Omo Oyotunji. And so I had the honor to know who my ancestors are, to know who I am, to know what my purpose is. And today I do that worldwide by helping African descendants through ancestry, finding out who their ancestors are, through Ifa divination, finding out their purpose, and really just empowering our community for them to be successful, because living in the United States, we as African descendants, we are up against a lot. A lot of the system is not in our favor. So the more you know yourself, the more you strengthen your confidence just as a human being, the better chance you have as developing yourself and protecting your family. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. So thank you for those wonderful introductions as to who you are, introducing yourselves to our community. We're going to get right into the conversation and questions. All right, hold on a second. Brother Karanja done stepped on the scene, so I want to give him space to be able to introduce himself. If we can get him pulled up here in a second. Do y'all see him on the screen? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into the questions, and then I'll ask the first question, and maybe he'll be connected here in a minute. So I'm going to ask both of you right now if you can share why rites of passage is necessary in our communities. Whoever would like to answer first.
I can go first.
All right.
Yeah, so rites of passage is so important, but I want to start with there are different levels of rites of passage, right? We have rites of passage as birth, right? As we passage through the womb. We have rites of passage in the Yoruba tradition when a male child turns 7, right? They go through a rites of passage. Puberty. When they reach puberty, there's a rites of passage. There's a rites of passage through marriage. There are rites of passage through chieftaincy, through titles, and there are also death rites of passage. So rites of passage is very, very, very important. And through different lineages and different countries of African descendants, they are celebrated differently. What I can say about my personal lineage, Oyotunji, we celebrate all of those rites of passage stages that I mentioned. But the one that I want to focus on today is rites of passage through puberty for young adults, men, young, ladies, young women. In today's society, it's very, very, very important because our youth are dealing with things that some of us didn't have to deal with. When it comes to our society's norms of today, when you have social media, before we had the TV and radio, now we have social media and AI that are leading and guiding our youth. So it is important when they have a rites of passage program to, number one, develop their mind. Number two, develop their character. Number three, develop their mannerisms, right? Mm-hmm. When many of us were growing up, yes, ma'am, no, sir, that was common. Today, it's not. It's not really normal to have a child with manners, just to be honest. Most teenagers are dealing with identity crisis. Most teenagers, honestly, based on statistics, are dealing with suicide. So having mentors, having rites of passage programs programs in your community is about your life nowadays. It can save a life. And in my lineage, I'm going to go briefly on rites of passage. Through Oyotunji, when you have a young woman who has reached puberty, we have a society called Egbe Moremi. And Egbe Moremi is the elders, the woman elders, and all women in our community that have gone through this rites of passage. It's about a 2-year program. It takes 2 years to commit and to complete this process. Okay. And what this process does is you are bonding with the woman in your community. You're creating a safe and sacred place. You are also learning about, for us, we utilize the Orisha Yamoja and Moremi. So you're learning about those Orisha characteristics and how those characteristics of that Orisha, right? You can use those characteristics and embody them in your young adolescence. You are also able to pass tests. You have to learn to cook. You have to learn to sew. You have to learn to go in the woods, get like a log to chop down a small tree, not a big tree, right? But you have to learn how to make something out of wood, how to make a table out of wood. You also have to learn how to have a market. So even at 12 and 13 years old, we teach them economics with having a market and being able to market yourself within the community. So these are some of the basic, public aspects that I can speak about this program. Now that is for the woman. We have the men are aware of encouragement. There are all of those tests, but I will say a few things that we as women are allowed to witness. The young adults, they have to walk 40 miles. Based on where our village is, there's a walk to Beaufort to town, right? And you can walk to get help for your community and your family as needed, right? So 40 miles, we know, is not easy to walk. And so those young adults, they have to go through that, those males. They also have to go through spending time in the woods, doing male things that they have to do. They have to do a bog, going into the marshland and bogging across the marsh, which is not an easy task. As in South Carolina, there's a lot of oysters, right? So just as our ancestors had to walk across that marsh for their life and for their freedom, those young adults at 13 and 14 do the same thing. There are other rites of passage that those young men also have to do. They have to chop with an axe. They have to chop a tree down. So those are just a few things on the male side that I'm allowed to share. As in our community, the men society is sacred to the men. The woman society is sacred to the woman. But what I can tell you as an initiate of Egbe Moremi, someone who crossed over this society over 20 years ago, without that society, I may not have known my worth as a woman. That society, it taught me to be courageous. It taught me to ask for help. When I don't know, I have a village to go to, when I'm in need, no matter what the circumstance. I was also able to hear some of the things that the older woman the elders had to go through in their youth. So, it was a lot of encouragement, and it gave me a sacred and safe space to go to. Thank you.
mute, sis.
You're on mute.
I see. I see. You need me to repeat the question, Sister Vicky?
Okay, about it's almost the same thing, because in our community is just understanding that growing comes with responsibilities, because girls are taught by their mothers, boys are taught by their fathers. You know, in this our generation, there is no girls circumcision, but by that early age, girls would be circumcised together with the boys. But today, the boys are getting circumcised, then they are given 1 month, they go healing, and then in that place that they are going to heal is where the elders will go communicate to them and talk to them. Then from there, they can be given responsibilities such as looking at the livestock, like they get to be kept far from home. So the boys will be going and looking at the livestock. That's just a way of letting them know they have to be responsible. Then the girls get to be taught about cooking and how, like, girls have to wake up early, they have to make sure everything is running well at home. So that's the way that in the community where I am, that's how they are doing the rites of passage, mostly for girls from 7 to 15 years. From 15, you get that they understand what is expected of them, but between 7 to 15 years of age is where they are getting to be taught what is supposed to be done of them.
Okay,
Okay.
that's beautiful. Go ahead, Go ahead,
All
Bobby.
right. So, this next question for both of y'all: what specific values are taught to young boys going through rites of passage?
Yeah, I can go first on that. In this community, boys are taught to keep distance from girls, because you see, mostly in the community, they are brothers, sisters, and cousins. So for them to understand what the life they are supposed to be living, they are taught to be accountable and respect their sisters. So they are not. It's not like the way Matrix puts it, that we can hug our sisters and our brothers. In the communities, there are respect and boundaries. You find that boys have their space to sit and girls have their place to stay. Not that they are being separated, but at young age, they are supposed to know they are boys and girls, and the responsibilities that boys should have is to protect the girls, not to be like them.
Hey, you can go, Sister Olajide.
Can you repeat the
What
question one
specific
more time?
values are taught? What specific values are taught to young boys through rites of passage?
Okay, only for the young boys or for both?
Just for the young boys in this question.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So in my lineage, my Oyotunji lineage, we have the men's society is what it is called. Egbe Akinkan Ju Egbe Okunrin. And so within the men's society, the young males are able to learn, of course, the culture, right? Where as they're becoming a young man and coming into this society, they must understand their role and their responsibility within the community. They must also understand economic development. You know, what does it really mean to be a man, to be a provider, and not only to be a man like for yourself, for your family, but for the community. So they're able to, learn and speak with the elders about those different roles. They are also taught motivation and discipline. Okay. And the elders, males, are also able to inspire them by taking them under their wing, because in our community we have chief priests, right? So they're able to learn things on a spiritual level. We also have men who are in the worldly business realm, so they're able to go under their wings and to learn business. They're able to learn construction. We have something in our community that is called Dopway. And Dopway is our system of refurbishing our community. So in our community, the Dopway may work 4 hours a day, right? And the women in the community, we provide them with food and refreshments. But this is unpaid work that they do for the community to contribute, right? So the youth, they can learn skills, okay, of how to build carpentry and things like that through this Dopway system that we have. Now, the Orisha that presides over the men's society is Ogun. And Ogun is Orisha that has the characteristics of course, manhood, technology, strength, iron, and everything about manhood. You know, so they're also able to make prayers and know how to give homage and venerate the Orisha Ogun as well. So those are just a few things that the young males learn. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna give our brother Karanja a little intro so he can introduce himself and the organizational events that he has going on down there on the continent. So welcome, brother Karanja. How you doing, brother? I'll be before the race first.
Race first, family, a baby to me. Black power.
Peace and power.
Black power.
Yo, man, sorry that I took long to reconnect. Don't know where as I'm supposed to be an IT person, guru. Yeah, so this is brother Karanja, connecting from Nairobi, Kenya. So the name Karanja is an inheritance as a rite of passage birth, you know. So I inherited the name Karanja from my grandfather, who is my mother's father. So those are the traditions of the Kikuyu. That's how I got that name. So the firstborn son is named after the father's father, and the second born son is named after the mother's father. That is if she is married, you know. And when she's not married, the firstborn son would be named after her father, and then it continues like that with the first brother. The same case with the side of the daughters. The first daughter will be named after the father's mother, and the second born daughter is named after the mother's mother. Yeah, so in line with those traditions of the Kikuyu community in Kenya, that's how I got my name Karanja. So I also have an English name or a colonial name, Joseph, you know, because my grandfather was also given the name Joseph later in his life. He was not born Joseph because those were not our cultural names. He was born Karanja. So somewhere in life, after the introduction of Christianity, someone read the Bible in the church, in the Catholic Church, and came back to the community and told my grandfather, I have read a story in the Bible, and there's a character that has the same qualities or talents like you, because he had the gifts. He has the gifts of interpreting dreams or like foretelling visions. So when they saw this name and read the story of Jacob in the Joseph, son of Jacob in the Bible, that's how they nicknamed him Joseph, and he got baptized. And so everyone named after him is carrying that name forward. Peace and black power.
Peace and power.
Thank you, brother. Did you want to answer the question, the last question, or should I move on to the next one?
Well, yeah, Karanja, you could answer that question as well. So with the with working with the cadets there in Kenya, what are some why are the rites of passage necessary in our communities? And then you can follow up with what specific values are taught to young boys in rites of passage.
Peace. So yeah, we have different communities or ethnicities that have different values, or say, what you say, culture. They have different cultures, but when it comes to rites of passage like birth, not every community is naming their children as I have explained. Others wait later in life. And it's good when we teach these things in schools, like what we do in our RBJ cadets program, because now you help the children to understand the diversity in Kenya. So yeah, it's really good to teach the children.
Indeed. And what specific values are taught to young boys through rites of passage?
Well, in Africa, in general, in Africa, boys are being taught, to be men in the communities. From an early age, they start being groomed, and then as they grow with the various stages, you are introduced to new levels. You are separated from the earlier stage that you are in, and then as you grow, you continue being prepared for the role of manhood as you grow.
Okay, thank you, Brother
All right.
Karanja. So we're going to go to the next question that I'm going to pose to all of you, and take your time with it. So now that we've talked about boys, what specific values are taught to young women going through rites of passage?
You can go first, Sister Olajide.
Okay, yes, thank you so much. So for our Women's Rites of Passage, that program in Oyotunji is called Egbe Moremi, which is the Women's Society. And so within this society, the young woman, she's able to develop her expertise in the areas of business, feminine mystique, motherhood, her hygiene, and also spirituality and marriage. So these are the areas of focus that we focus on. And there are a lot of tests, okay? So there are a lot of tests because, like I said, this program is 2 years. So they have 2 years and they're able to take these classes and they're able to work with different elders on each stage. For example, there will be an elder who would teach about feminine mystique, who would teach about hygiene, the importance of woman hygiene, and how to properly take care of yourself as a woman. You are taught, the spiritual aspect of the importance of Orisha Yamoja and Orisha Egbe Moremi, right? You are taught how motherhood works, right? And what are the roles and expectations so that you may not be to be in a rush, right? To be talked into things, and to build your confidence as a woman. So a young man just can't come and just tell you anything, right? Because you know who you are, right? And so those are some of the important things that they're able to learn. They go through an orientation program, and then they take their classes, and then we have the annual festival, the Yamoja and Egbe Moremi Festival, where they're able to come and be hands-on in Oyotunji Village to get that hands-on experience of their training. So they have online training and they have in-person communal training, because this program is not just for our villagers, right? People who live in our village. It is also for families of families And people who are affiliated with our village, their children are allowed to come through this program, as one of the members have to sponsor them. So the only way that you're able to enter our programs is someone from the community must stand up and sponsor you and welcome you in and hold you accountable, because our youth and young adults and even adults, they need accountability. And so that's why we have that sponsorship program if it's not your blood relative or family. Thank you.
Shay.
Sister Vicky?
Also,
Sure.
as I had said, like girls from 7 years, they are taught how to be responsible towards future generation. Like when they are taught, they have to keep their self clean and make sure that everything in the household is going on well. That's making the future generations, because at 15 years they are young, but when they grow old, it will be a habit in them. So yeah, and also if parents, like if mothers get some business, they go with them. Mostly girls are taught by their mother. So if whatever economic activity that the mother is doing, the mother teaches the girl.
Thank you. Oh, were you done, Sister Vicky? I'm sorry.
No, I think it cut.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Brother Karanja, did you want to take this one?
Yeah, peace. So when it comes to girls, as Sister Vicky is talking about, she is with the mother most of the time. So she's looking up to the mother to like, and copying, and listening, and also the aunts. So the ladies or the girls are spending time with the aunts, and the aunts are going to tell them more things that maybe the mother could not say direct. And also they visit the grandmothers. Now the grandmothers, they have a very vital role, because now there's another connection here. The mother is a primary discipliner here, so there's some level of connection which should be different from the aunt. So the aunt will model her in a different way or area, because she is able to befree the girl more than the mother could be in a different way. So the mother has a role, the aunt has a role, and the grandmother has a role, as well as the whole community of women in general. So there are those women, they are not relatives, but in the community, they see you, So there are those sessions whereby as girls you could, but nowadays things are very disrupted, where you find that unless communities have really maintained these cultural practices, most of the people nowadays are just, living like, I don't know how to call it. I don't know how to call it. Very, very
Individualistic.
private life on their own. The communal way of bringing children has really been disrupted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
We all
you.
agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would like to know what's taught specifically about being a person of good character and integrity in your community. Anybody can answer.
Is this for any of us to
Yes, it
answer?
is.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, I can go first if I may. And in our community in Oyotunji, and also just in the Yoruba tradition as well, we have what we call Iwa Puele, Iwa Re, which means gentle, good character. And in our system of ideology, we believe that, we will be judged based on our works on earth. And so we have Ifa that teaches us, how we should be. So just like you have the Bible, you have the Quran, we have the Ifa holy corpses. And In that teachings, there's 256 Odu Ifa. In each of those chapters, right, there are verses and proverbs. In each of those, it always tells a story, right, of how we as humans should behave even when we are challenged. So there are different verses that speak about this. But generally speaking, you should have gentle character. Always know that your ancestors are watching, right? So this is taught that you must be honest, you must practice forgiveness, you must learn the importance of keeping your word and being committed, having discipline, being able to repeat, right, what you need to do, knowing right from wrong. And you know that based on these rites of passages, right, that's when you have that character building. And once you are completed with your rites of passage, the community and your family will hold you to a new standard of your character. Because these programs, you go through different tests and different challenges to shape and mold your character as a woman and as a male. There are certain roles and characteristics of women, right? As a woman's place, right? We like to say, and there's are certain characteristics and roles for a male's place, and those things are learned through those rites of passage over those years. Because you start in the home. The first rites of passage before adolescence, you learn those traits from your parents first. And then, like we all said, at the age of 7 through 15, right, depending on how it goes for you, you will begin those communal society rites of passages. Thank you.
Thank you. Whoever wants to answer next, Brother Karanja, maybe.
Yeah, peace. When it comes to integrity, so the society first of all gives it to your own reflection, such that you are made to understand very well that whatever you do, you are doing it to yourself. Whatever you think you are doing to anyone or just anyhow, it's made clear. You grow up knowing whatever I'm going to do or whatever I'm doing it myself. So don't think like you are fooling anyone. Don't think that you are being smart in any way, because anything you're doing will just come back to you. And again, you need to understand that even if you can't see anyone watching you, don't think they are not seeing you, because we acknowledge the continuity of life even after death. So it's expected of you in the society or in the community to be of great integrity wherever you are, because you are going to be a disgrace to your family lineage, and you don't want to meet the wrath of the ancestors. And that's, another thing is that you are doing it to yourself. Whatever you're going to do, it comes back to you. It's you are doing it to you, to your own.
Indeed.
Also, in the community I am now, there is a plan where after the teenagers are being taught, after some time, maybe a year, you find that the elders of that community come together and sit with kids, like the growing adults, and they are like, are you following what you are taught? And if you are not following, you are being taught by the elders the consequences of the effects when you fail to follow what you are being taught. Then if something is hard for you to follow, they show you the easy way and how it should be done. You find that the elders work as like they are the guardians of the community, of the culture. They make sure everything is going in alignment. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, peace. And also to add on that, as you grow, you have the awareness that some responsibilities or some level of respect is bestowed on you according to your character. So And integrity is one thing. As you grow, you have the community, expects you to lead in some, areas. And if you are not a person of integrity, you won't be respected or be, welcomed to some, community things. So you have to behave well unless you don't care. And then you'll be a bad example. And even the kids now won't respect you, even if they are your kids or the community kids, because you are a bad example.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so how does traditional rites of passage promote sisterhood, brotherhood, and nationhood? I pose that question to everybody on the panel.
Well, traditionally, when it comes to the Kikuyu community, we had those rites of passage, and and you have the various kind of training and preparation of what you are getting into. And now you're going to create a community or a family together with the women, the girls. I mean, the men and the women. Now you're no longer a boy. So these preparations, and then sometimes you organize what you call the festivals to bring them together. The bonding, there was this bonding moment. Although nowadays it's like what they just find themselves in discourse, but culturally, traditionally, these were well organized when people reach certain stages, and they are well mentored for this and prepared for this. So they know these are our sisters, these are brothers, we protect, and then we are going to be their wives, we are going to be the husbands. There's how you're expected to carry, and then socialization was well monitored by the elders. Even in these events, could be daytime or night, like festivals, but they are well monitored. Peace.
That's beautiful.
Sister Olajide or Sister Vicky, how does traditional rites of passage promote sisterhood, brotherhood, and nationhood?
Yes, well, in our lineage of Oyotunji, the male and woman's rites of passage is the first step to our community. So, and what do I mean by that? As we have a village, right, a private community. Say, for example, we have a new person that the council has voted that they can move to our village. The first introduction that they get is through, if they're a woman, they must go through the women's society. And if they're male, they must go through the men's society. And what that does is they're able to, number one, learn the responsibility and the roles of the male and the woman in the community. They're able to and be introduced to the community. They're able to have a guide to guide them through, right? All of these nuances, right? As our village, we have our own rules, right? We are in the United States of America, but we are considered our own nation by the United States government, right? So when you go down that road to our village, the United States laws, they just don't apply. So it's a reconditioning. One has to recondition themselves. And many people are seeking a spiritual refuge from the hardships and the systematic abuse that they have received, right, in the United States. And so we have a lot of people that flee to our village for different forms of help. Many people who have been through abuse, some who are just lost and they're dealing with mental illness, as the Western society calls it. But, there may be the ancestors calling them home to learn their culture. So that first stage of introduction to the community is they have to go through the male and the woman rites of passage, right? And so those are for people who are coming in from the outside. Now, those of us who are born in the village, it is mandatory, right? This is a celebratory process of adolescence, right? And so it is a big honor when it's time for the youth to go through their program and to bond and to take their seat in the community. So it's a big honor, not just for the child, but for the family and for the community. Thank you.
Okay. Also, when women learn, then men are taught about cooperation. When they come together, they will be able to support and work together, and that will make the nation grow and work. Everyone will be willing to support and cooperate with each other.
Okay.
Okay,
Beautiful.
thank you. So the next question that I have is, how does traditional rites of passage address cultivating healthy relationships?
Well, again, as we said on the previous point, you are being prepared on how to behave at every stage, and then you know what's expected of you and what's ahead. And as time clicks, you understand. Yes, now I should stop certain behaviors. I'm not going to certain places. Then this is expected of me, and you also want to be a man who is respected by your own age mates, and also the community at large. So, and you don't want to miss out to some points, because if you're not ready for the next stage, then there's some discontinuation. So you have to grow. In Kikuyu we say grow like a sugarcane, stage by stage. Don't miss stages. Don't be left behind. Grow like a sugarcane. You go stage by stage.
Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. I love that. And in our community, I'm going to talk on when there's a challenge, right? How can these societies help you? So, like Brother Karanga said, they learn their place, right? And they learn those roles and how they should behave. And so the thing is, say when there's an issue and there's a problem, if it's a young boy, the first thing, there's the home and then there's the men's society, right? So as that youth has gotten out of character, they have broken a law, or they have even disrespected their home, right? The first court that we have is compound court. Okay. And compound court is when the mother and the father, which is the father is the compound head, right, of that family household, right? They would see how they would discipline the child, and they would report that disciplinary action either to the men's society, if it's a male, woman's society, if it's a daughter, right? Now, say for example, the family has done what they could do. However, there are still issues happening within the home. That is when you turn to your men's society and women's society. That is the second level of court. You have your society court. And so that is when, if it's a daughter, the women's society will intervene. Okay, because sometimes there are family disputes that the family are not able to settle on their own. And so you have officers. There is something called the Erelu, who is like the lawyer for the women's society. And so the Erelu will conduct a investigation, right? And to take inquiry on all sides and statements to see what is going on. The case will be presented before the elders and the elders of the society, and then a resolution, a peaceful resolution will happen. And this is something that could take a day. It's something that can take a month, or longer, depending on how severe the infraction is. But those youths, They have their egbe's, their societies who have their back. And so that is how this can help and develop and strengthen those communal relationships, because that youth knows, even in good and in challenge, there's a society, an egbe, a community that supports.
Thank you.
Oh, we lost Sister Vicky again. She just dropped down. So we'll just go on to the next question because she might be a minute before getting back on here. So how do traditions address beauty standards, self-confidence, and pride?
I would like to speak on behalf of the woman. So in our culture and our lineage, we have a dress code. So we have a dress code of how the men and how the women dress. For us women, we will wear a gele, which is a head wrap. We will wear a buba, which is, a top, and we will wear a gele. Some call it also ipele, which is the wrapper. So we wear a buba, gele, and a skirt. In our village, women are not allowed to wear what we call shokoto, the pants. Women are supposed to wear the wrappers or like the gowns. It's just the way that our community is. And as for dress, now the men have what we call a hat, which is called a fila. They also have a buba, and they wear the shokoto, the pants. And so in our village, when someone is new coming in, they have 90 days. Yes, 90 days to gather their dress code standard. And so when they come in, of course, there's an orientation and they're told this. And the community, the men and the women's society, they gather around this person and they help them by donating or purchasing or even sewing clothes for this new person. We also do this for the youth when they are coming of age and held to more standards, right? Our community will make sure they have the cultural attire. So that's one aspect of what I consider beauty. Our attire is beauty to me. When we say beauty, another thing would be your regalia, depending on if you're a priest or a priestess, right? You may have attire and regalia, beads and earrings and different things, right, that you would be expected to be adorned with through certain ceremonies and festivals. To me, that is beauty. So those are just two little things that, in my opinion, I consider beauty within my culture. There's also beautification of the temples and the towns. So there are certain herbs or plants that we would use to decorate and beautify some of the temples. There's painting that is done to beautify the temples. There are also certain paintings but certain things that we use to beautify ourselves when we are in ceremony as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Peace. So when it comes to the standards of beauty and pride, the traditions when come on the men's side in my community, they could focus on your strength and your ability to defend. So women or the society would consider you or considers you, a handsome or a good man because now the community or your household is safe with you. So your ability to provide and your ability to protect, now this puts you on a level. So even fights could be there, and then you are distinguished who are the strong you command this, so that's, they could say that man is handsome or that. So there's that admiration when it comes to pride and when you talk of beauty, and also for him, his self-confidence is now elevated. So when it came to men, it was about how well can you provide and protect your wife or your household and the community at general.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Please.
Sister
Okay.
Vicky. Okay, you
Yes.
did get the question?
Yes, it's about beauty standards and confidence. So
Yes.
in our community, they don't follow them for today, but as I was taught, they were waist beads and bead necklaces for the girls, where they were also special kind of skin and oils which ladies could apply to themselves. So it seems like my community had more focus on beauty. So it's not something that came with white civilization. It existed even before they came to Africa.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yeah, please. And on the same, if I can add again, when it comes to ornaments on the men's side, so there are different kinds of spears men could carry. And when you reached a certain level of recognition, your spear is even, noticed. It is known. This belongs to who, in such a. It's known. This belongs to so and so. So even if you leave it somewhere, it's still like they know this belongs to so and so. He is around, and there's some level of respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peace.
I love that.
Okay. With the influence of colonization, have you noticed much objectification and sexual exploitation of our young women? How will rites of passage address that issue?
Yes, definitely. It's a overwhelmingly alarming, and sadly, it's embraced. And it is marketed, and it is very intentional on what is going on with our young women. Um, Today in America, our young women are looking up to strippers. They are looking up to prostitutes. This is being promoted through social media. This is being promoted through the television. It is propaganda. Okay. Now we have what is called influencers. Okay. And these influencers, not to degrade those who are on their own path, but for our young adults, when it comes to them being overly sexualized, it's being embraced by the media and promoted. And nowadays, you have young girls who are 13, who look 18, who are wearing little tube tops, their stomach out, those tight pants. In America, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And so it is a big problem because number one, you are attracting the wrong attention. Number one. Number two, you are not learning the value of the feminine, your feminine body, and your body is a temple. And number three, just the message of how to be successful nowadays, right? The message that our young women are getting is sex through sex, to give yourself freely. And that is something that in the family household, it starts in the household first. And if a parent is not intentional about what their male and female child is hearing, what they're listening to, what's on YouTube, the cartoons that they are watching, the programs they are watching, the friendships that they have, it can be very dangerous. As we all know about sex trafficking in the United States, sex trafficking is at an all-time high. Okay, and those of us who know about history and slavery, we know that sex trafficking goes way back to before slavery. Okay, and so today in 2026, you have to wrap your arms tight around the youth, your your nieces, your nephews, your children, your children's friends. If you're in a place where you're a leader in your community, you have to look out for the youth, because the propaganda, the system is working against them. And that is why, even if you are not born or raised in an African cultural home or community or village, you have to seek some type of leadership program for your youth. Everyone here on this program, we're privileged. We are privileged, all of us who are panelists, because we grew up knowing who we are. We grew up with these rites of passage that we're sharing. All of us experienced it, but we are only about 3%. There's so many children, there are so many parents that don't know what to do. And in the United States, a lot of the programs and the grants being stripped, it is a problem. And that's why I said when I came on this program, I commend you for doing what you're doing. I commend the panelists for coming on here, because this is one way that we can get the message out, and not just to the youth, but to the parents, because we have to give the information accessible to the parents so that they can pass it to the youth. Ashe.
Ashe. Peace. On that point, colonization is about, conquering you and, corrupting your ways and kicking you off balance, because you realize even in the old days, the body, the skin could be shown, but the consciousness of the people was not about sexualization of, the body. But nowadays, after the colonization, it's like a virus program installed now in the brain. You start seeing things in a whole different way. So the whole consciousness is now corrupt. And now maybe if you start bringing back rites of passage and all this, because nowadays people are just distracted and overoccupied, and now what you're being fed through the media, through all this platform, through everything now is that sexualization consciousness. So even the way you could live long ago without covering your body all the time, nowadays you can't live, because now the consciousness is just seeing it in a different way. So bringing back the rite of passage, which is going to take time to now repair. We need to understand there's a corruption in the program. Peace.
Okay, and yes, sexual exploitation is real, and also African aid diverse views and opinions of beauty standards. So it's upon us, people with kids and girls, to teach them that they were beautiful by then. They are still beautiful and they will remain beautiful. But you see, in African tradition, there were beads, there were some type of clothes that were for the ladies. So it's also upon parents, when the girls reach that age that they need to feel beautiful and they feel the need to be seen, it's upon their mothers to make them the way they want, in a way that will not be exploiting to the kids and to the world that looking at them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sister Vicky. Okay, so we've been talking about the rites of passage of young people. So I'd like to hear from each of you, if you could describe what the transition to adulthood looks like in your community, as far as the rites of passage is concerned.
Well, in this transition into adulthood for men in my community, because you realize there are a lot of diversity. So the boy now who is transiting to become into adulthood is required to spend the time with the uncles, the grandfather as well. You get to receive those mentorship, and then you undergo circumcision as a rite of passage as well. Now this cuts that childhood, and now you are now a man who is now going to behave in a different way and going to take upon different responsibilities, and the society is looking at you like someone now who should be now starting to prepare to be an elder to guide the rest. So that transition of childhood involves mentorship from the uncles or that age group of community. Also being close to the grandfather for more wisdom, and then there are ceremonies, and the various tribes or various ethnicities have their different ways of going through it. And nowadays things have changed. You realize that in the past, boys or those young men could go to, they could be taken somewhere, all of them alone, and they would be slaughtered for bulls. Every father from every community, every father of every boy who has been brought here could contribute bulls, and these people could eat and eat, because now they become very strong. These are the warriors now to defend the community in the case of any invasion. So they are put somewhere, no interaction with the girls, Now this is mentorship, only old men coming there, bringing soup, bringing the meat. But nowadays you find that even the circumcision is being done in very different environments. Maybe even only women are coming to see this young boy because maybe they are in the town. So there's a lot of lost culture that also is going to show up later in the life of the man. So you are talking about what used to happen. There used to be a very very good system, but now these systems were interrupted. Nowadays people are doing, some are trying, some things could be done in church. Nowadays boys are going to church. Those were cultural, not religious things. So you find that there's a lot of interruption of what used to be traditional rites of passage and what is being done today as rites of passage.
Right.
As for the girls, yes, as for the girls in my community, you find that at the age of 9 to 10, they are taught by the mothers not to play the games that they used to play with the young ones. Like, it's like an age gap where they have to respect the young ones, and the young ones also respect the big girls. And they are also taught about hygiene and how to be young women. So at the age of 9, 10 to 15 years, they are taught how to become young women, how to be responsible, how to take care of the young ones. You find that they learn most of the things from their mothers and sometimes aunties, but mostly in the villages, they learn from their mothers. So it's a stage where they come from being the play girls to understanding and hardworking adults.
Yes, and within our programs, once they enter the program, there is a no fraternization rule, right? So At that age, right, once they're entering the rites of passage, they understand the woman must be with the woman, the men must be with the men. And so, like I spoke about before, there is a time where they come on the grounds, right? If they do not live in the village, because those who live in the village, these are there will be tests every day. There will be roles every day because you're actually fully living this lifestyle. But I'm going to speak about those who are coming in when they come around for the festival time. That is when their face will be, for the woman, their face will be painted with like white chalk. And they will be considered as Obi Foon Foon. And they will have those roles. They will work closely, having roles on the festival. They will be up underneath the elders. This is a time when they're able to sew their clothes. They're able to go over kind of some of those tests, to actually get cleared off on those tests. They will also be responsible for cooking. During a part of the festival, they will be responsible for cooking a meal for the community. When their program is at completion, when it's time for them to graduate, there is a fertility dance that the woman will have to do. There's a grass skirt that they have to make with mariwo, the how you say palm fronds. They will have to make a grass skirt, and they will have to do their fertility dance. They will also have to learn the pledge within our kingdom and our village. We have a pledge. They will have to take a test. There's a test that has questions of 60 to 100 questions about the culture, about the history of our village, about the Orisha, Yamoja, and Moremi, about some of the elders, and just about, womanhood things, right? So that is the time when they do those things in person if they are visiting. Now, those who actually live there, they have more of an advantage because they are living this lifestyle every single day. So it's very natural to them. Those tests become a little bit easier because they are actually engrossed in the traditional lifestyle. Now, for the men, that's for the women. For the men, some of the same tests. Those our brother Baba Karanga, like he said earlier, with those fighting tests, our men have to go under that same test. That's a part of the rites of passage. Well, each man will fight, and it's not a negative aspect. Like the brother said, it's to show strength, and the woman get to watch and like, oh wow, so it does provide that confidence. The men also, during the men's festival, they will also have the white, right, across their body and their chest and everything, showing that these are our pledgees. That's what that lets the community know. These are our pledgees that are crossing over. There is also a masculine, right, dance and song that they have to perform as well. Just like the woman have to do the fertility, dance. That is a completion of that program, of that rites of passage during that festival. For the men, it's the Ogun festival. For the woman, it's the Yamoja Moremi festival. And these times also go with the spring solstice is the Ogun festival. We have the summer solstice is for the women's festival as well. So those are just a few aspects, along with the other things that I stated, the cooking, the clothing, the chopping, the bogging, all of those different rites of passage things, and the tests that they have to learn.
Ashe. You say something. You mentioned something interesting about. I don't know whether I got the phrase or the word correct about Morani.
Moremi?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sounds
Moremi.
Moreni.
Moremi. Moremi.
Moremi. Wow. Which language
Moremi.
exactly is that?
That's Yoruba. That is the
Okay.
Yoruba language of West
Moremi.
Nigeria. Yes.
What does it mean? Moremi, please.
Yeah, so Moremi is actually one of our deities. And this just a brief story of Moremi is she is a queen. Moremi was one of the queens in Ile Ife, which is the what we believe the cradle of Yoruba civilization. And Moremi was captured by one of the other tribes, and she had to wed that king, right? And so Moremi, for years, she worked quietly, trying to build influence to get her people out of captivity, because the people were taken, okay, into becoming slaves. And so at one point, after many years, Moremi was able to overthrow her husband, who, her new husband, the king, and she was able to get freedom for her people of Ile Ife. And so that is one of the stories of the great Queen Moremi. And so that womanhood, right, feminine, aspect is what our daughters learn about in Oyotunji. And so Moremi is one of the orishas that characteristic, right, is what the young girls learn about. So that is what Moremi represents.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Such a beautiful story. So you also believe in a woman in the story of origins. You have a woman as a very uh, because also in Kikuyu we have Mombi. You say Moremi, I hear you say we have Mombi. Beautiful. And Mombi
Mhm. Can
translates
you tell
to
us the story of Moby?
the Mombi translates to creator. So Mombi in Kikuyu means creator in English. So she is the mother of Kikuyu tribe. So that's the whole Kikuyu tribe is also called the House of Mombi. Yeah.
Wow.
She got 9 daughters with her husband. Yeah, Gikoyo. So Gikoyo, the whole Kikuyu tribe is called Gikoyo because of the father. The original father is called Gikoyo, and the original mother is called Mobi, the creator. So that's why the whole tribe is called, or the whole ethnic group is called Gikoyo, House of Mobi.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Welcome, thank you too.
I'm really enjoying this conversation. I just want to say I'm definitely enjoying this conversation, and also seeing those connections being made. The conversation in the comments, I'm not sure if you all can see. It's
No.
really good conversation. So we appreciate the viewers. And I want to say to them, please share this live out because this is a very important conversation for others to hear, so that they understand what we need to come back to, like Sankofa, what we need to come back to.
Absolutely.
So my next question is, in the rites of passage, how do you relay the responsibilities of becoming an elder, of elderhood?
Okay, well, there's a lot of different ways. What I would say is it shows through your character. So we all know a child, right, or a young adult who shows excellent character, right? They're going to be given more trust and more responsibility, right? And so I would think acts of service and merits, as you are given these tasks, roles in the community, roles within the home, you will show skills. You will obtain a skill set, right? And based on that, you may receive titles within the community, or positions within the community. You may be given, for example, for a temple, because the people of our community take care of our temples, right? And so a young adult may be given a certain responsibility, right, to have a role within that temple. Okay, the young adult may have a role on the darkway, like what we said about earlier. The darkway is our system of refurbishment and beautification for the town. It could be collecting the trash, it could be raking, it could be temple maintenance, it could be construction, it could be sewing or refurbishing our flags, because we have 3 flags that hang in Oyotunji. So if you're a male, you may have the responsibility, and this is an honor, to be able to get up in the morning, right, at the break of dawn, to put and raise our flags. And when the sun is setting, to take those flags down. That has to be done every single day in the kingdom. You may also be promoted to be on tourism, as within our village, we have tourism. There are visitors that visit, and we have tour guides. So this is a way for economically a young adult to gain a sense of income, right? And so they can be trained to be a tour guide. Also, when it comes to the markets, right? You may have one of the elders may enroll you to manage their market, and you can get some income from that. So there are so many different ways. And then there's, of course, the priesthood, which is the sacred society of our spirituality, right? So there are some youth who are initiated into the priesthood young, and so they will have spiritual responsibilities. So there are so many ways in our culture that the youth can be promoted and have responsibilities and titles. Modupe, thank you.
Thank you.
Peace. Yeah, on my side, it's the same way. According to how you have grown and you are visible, your level of responsibility and respect you have gained in the community, then there are those gatherings of men. Now they can adapt you. Now you become a member of this group. So these are the people who maybe settle disputes, and it goes with with your age. You have these, they are elders. So if you are not someone who is respected, these men won't want to be associated with you, because now you bring like the bad smell with you to the council, so to say, the council of elders. So it is about how we said, grow like a sugar cane with the stages, and be more responsible in the community, so you are respected, and now you can be accepted in these councils. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Sorry. I'm curious about something, sister, you mentioned about the flags. How old are the flags, if I may ask? Or were they introduced after colonialism, or did they exist even before colonialism?
Oh, he's asking you that question on Sister Olajide.
Yeah.
Okay, he was saying about a flood.
Yeah, the flags that the 3 flags that
the flags. Yes, the
please.
flags. Yes. Okay, so what I would shortly say, our Oyotunji, our community goes back to the 1950s. Okay, so in the 1950s is when the elders of our community is when they first began to mobilize. And they mobilized for cultural justice out of Harlem, New York. They, at first, some of them were Black Panthers. Some of them were Black Muslims. And they began to search their roots. because remember, we're in the United States. And so we had to learn, right, through different traditions, through many traditions. We learned through the Dahomey tradition. We learned through the Dambalawedo tradition. We learned through the Yoruba tradition, the Benin tradition, even through the Cuban Lukumi tradition. Okay, in the 50s, those elders went through different lineages, many lineages, to try to find the source, right, of what we as today, the children of Oyotunji, the culture was how we were brought up. And so that took many decades and a lot of challenges, because there were the civil rights that we were going through, but we fought for cultural rights. Why is it that the Japanese, that the Indians, that the Hindus, that even the Chinese and the Jews were allowed to embrace their cultural heritage, but the Afro-American, it is demonized? And so that was the root of Black nationalism in the United States in the 1950s. That is when our group of our leaders and founders, they mobilized. And so those flags that are raised in Oyotunji, those flags were developed to represent the Yoruba nation in the United States, and it has an ankh. So our flag is red, yellow, and green, and it has a black ankh in the center of it. That represents us as the Yoruba nation in America, Oyotunji Afrikan Kingdom.
Beautiful.
So that is where our comes from.
Wow, I get it. Thank you. Wow, interesting. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how do you combat cultural colonization amongst our community?
Didn't hear that. Could you please come again? You were interrupted. Your internet. Don't know if it's mine.
How do you combat cultural colonization amongst your community?
Well, when it comes to combating now the colonization, the cultural colonization, we need, or like, we try to come back, like, get back to the elders and, try to reform the old ways and rites of passage. But you realize that people are so distracted and over-occupied. So it's a struggle, yeah? Communities are trying to embrace, and the colonization, goes even more to, and it became like the new lifestyle through the various institutions, and people embrace and the new, cultures in the name of religion. So you understand now your traditions are like thrown away, the Africa for indigenous traditions are thrown away, and people now embrace new cultures without even knowing they are embracing new cultures. They throw away their culture and embrace a new culture in the name of religion. Some are trying also to incorporate, to try, because before religion, people or our community understood God and embraced God and worshipped God and prayed to God. So there are those groups who are trying to bring back the traditional spiritual way, and trying to somehow align with the church, because the institution has become so strong to ignore it or to throw it away, to a point whereby if you try to speak anything that somehow sounds to be contradictory, now you have lost audience, and you have no support and you have no audience. So people are trying to come up with ways to integrate to bring back the traditional ways, the spiritualism, but somehow embedding in the acknowledging the current, largely accepted culture, which is religion.
Understood.
Okay, to me, I think embracing African languages like our mother tongue, and we teach about our culture and tradition, then we also focus on African music and storytelling can be a good way to at least make this generation understand who we are and who we are supposed to be.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Yes. What I would add on to everything that has been said is we as leaders in our own community, no matter what the lineage, no matter what the religion, right? We have to be accountable, for our community, meaning that we have to promote. We have to take that responsibility and promote. In our culture, we have a saying, he who knows does not die like he who does not know. He who knows does not die like he who does not know. So we can't fault the youth and people who are ignorant. And when I say ignorant, ignorance of identity, ignorance of culture, we cannot fault them. But what we can do is empower them. And this is one way that we're empowering them, right? By this platform that you have here. And so, in my opinion, that is one of the ways how we can engage the youth and bring more awareness to it. Like in my village, like I said, we actually allow outsiders. A lot of it may not be customary, right, for others religions or cultures to allow outsiders, but based on a little bit of the history I shared, we are for Black nationalism. We are for African descendants being able to be successful in this United States. How do we do it? That by you knowing who you are, by you understanding your culture, by coming in through the first stage of rites of passage. And so that rites of passage is the foundation, is the pure foundation, to reinitiate yourself into culture, the culture of your ancestors. No matter where you come from, all of us on this platform, we have all said many of the same things, which lets you know it doesn't matter how far away, it doesn't matter what continent. We are Afro-American, we are Africans, and so we are one. We are one. And yes, we have different lineages, we have different ways, we have even different religious beliefs, but our melanated likeness is what brings us together. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
For this next question, did you want to add to that?
Just maybe one point on that, combating the colonization. I would add on names and naming. And one thing I'm proud of Team RBG is the way they embrace African names. So, also in Africa, you realize we have our names and we have the lineage. You can trace the name, but you find it is somehow, it has been somehow made to be cool to just have European names, So, to some levels of generations are just taking it as very cool not to have African names. So I think on one thing to combat colonialism, we need to start embracing our names.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
So to the young people and the progression of what they work towards leadership. So within your community, how does Rites of Passage promote leadership amongst our young women specifically without sacrificing their femininity?
Okay, I will speak to that one. Well, because they're going through the rites of passage, and they are coming into a feminine right society that promotes that and holds that sacred. It's a sacred space. They're able to learn about their femininity and their feminine mystique. And when I say mystique, the power of a woman, not in a negative way, but in an empowering way, the beauty and the power of what it means to be a woman, and learning how to embrace those feminine traits and characteristics. And so through that rites of passage, they learn that, so like, say for example, if it was a male teaching the woman, you may see those challenges, right? But like we all stated, the men teach the men and the woman teach the woman. Ashe.
Ashe. So we're in the Kikuyu community, when it comes to women and leadership, as we talked about the stages as you grow, there are those levels. Now this is, from childhood to a certain level of, small girls, adolescents, then young mothers, then you graduate from that as you continue in life. And these women, every stage has its own, like how you call them, traditions, or how they live, and what kind of responsibilities in the community is expected of them, as you're at this level, so you go graduating, and the community acknowledges and gives you that space, and everyone in that age group or that level is mentored by the previous group. As you graduate, as you continue, hey, now you are coming from this level, now you are this level, now you are not in that feminine energy, and it's maintained. You are a woman and you have leadership.
Also, as girls are taught by their mothers and aunties, it becomes easy for them to be able to speak and make decisions for themselves. So it will not be hard for them to communicate what they want and how they want it done. So in simple terms, they can speak for themselves and also make decisions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my question, and I think that maybe we've kind of touched on it a little bit throughout the conversation, but in communities who continuously held the traditional rites of passage, how do they look different from communities who have lost that tradition?
Well, on that, sorry, so go fast, please. Go fast, ladies.
Thank you, sir. So in the United States, for us, we can see a lot of the differences, those who know and those who don't know. And when I say don't know about identity and culture, unfortunately in America, they call music our culture, rap and R&B. As we know, as cultural people, culture is our education, our language, our dress, the food we eat, our rites of passage through birth, death, adolescence, marriage, right? And of course, there's a religious aspect of culture too, right? And the traditions and customs. That is what culture is. No matter where you are, no matter what race, color, right? That's culture. And it's going to be different based on indigenous areas, the land, right? Based on where that culture originated. Okay. And in America, they have devalued African culture. And, you know, that goes to colonization, slavery, and all of that, right? And so that was systematically done. And they gave African Americans R&B and hip hop and called it culture. And so that's systematically done. And so we are working against that consciousness and that mindset, which will take decades. It will take time. It will take everyone working together to change our narrative in the United States. In my village, we have preserved these rites of passages going back to, for us, 1950s, right? So from the 50s to today, we have kept this our system, right, of rites of passage up. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. There's a lot of different challenges that you face as you have the Western mindset, and then we have a traditional mindset. It is two different mindsets, no matter where the tradition and what the tradition is. When you're in the United States, you're dealing with a colonized mindset and ideology. So that requires surrendering. And when I say surrendering, we know about surrendering through religion, right? But let's talk about surrendering to your roots, surrendering to a journey that will take time. Okay. And when I say takes time, there are many African Americans in the United States who go through many different lineages. Okay. In America, we have hoodoo, we have voodoo, you have Santeria, right? All these ATR, African traditional religions, right? Because that's what we got in America. Okay. It's quite different when you are here in Oshobo and raised in Nigeria, raised in Kenya, and raised in, you know, these places. We in America, we're trying to trace our roots. Some of our ancestors are from Ghana. Some of our ancestors are from Nigeria. Some of our ancestors are right from America, right? So it just really, it's a process. It's a journey of understanding who you are, and it goes like this. And there will be different plateaus. But eventually, when you surrender and you commit to understanding who you are able to do your DNA, because now we have DNA that we're able to do, right? To fine tune that search. And you may have to go to Ghana. You may have to go to Kenya, right? You may have to go to these places to connect, to actually make a connection to who you are, identity. So we in America, identity crisis is what I call it. You know, we in America, we are dealing with a lot. And so these rites of passage is a start, one that the youth can start with to reinitiate themselves into who they are as they're young. You know, they're very young. So that's what I will say, Ashe.
Ashe. Wow. It brings to my attention the kind of privilege we have in Africa, that you can see your lineage and you understand. You don't have to trace so far or try to trace yourself. and yet you see people embracing colonial, identities or names, or even not proud of their Africanness. They don't understand it's a privilege that other people are wishing had, or our people, out there are, craving for that. So I think these interactions like we have here are needed more, either online and also physically. We need to exchange a lot so that it helps you, it helps us also start embracing ourselves more, and also building that trust. You realize we are one people, but over time we've not been embracing that. So maybe to add on that question, the question that how are the communities that embrace the traditional rites of passage are viewed by others, you find that it's a division among maybe even the same community, because there's some side of the community that embraces, they have kept the tradition, in the same community, there's one group of people that wants to, continue, and others have, gotten out of that. They have been maybe conquered, we can say colonially, they have been mentally conquered, successful by the colonialization. And then there are other tribes that now, in general, you see their traditional beauty is more vibrant or is more continued. So there are some aspects of the same tribe other tribes will be jealous of or admire or envy, so to say, or there are other also aspects of the carried or kept traditions that they would not want. So it's like it's not like a complete this or that. So in the same ethnic group has its own division, and then amongst the various ethnic groups, they also have things they would like, they admire or they envy about the others' tradition, and they also have things they don't want.
Yeah.
Understood.
Also, on that, we see that nature has everything. So people who embrace their culture and tradition, they got simple life, happy one, and an healthy life. You get their life is simple, happy, and healthy. They don't need to use many expenses for their living. Like life is giving them everything they need to be alive, and also they work in unity, which is not most everywhere for people who don't embrace their culture and traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. What is the importance and how important is it for Africans on the continent to connect with our people across the diaspora?
It's very, very important. It's at the top of the list to make that connection, to understand, to come to an understanding of an understanding that will provide progress. That will provide progress. And what do I mean progress? Just like as we're having this panel discussion, we are privileged to be in our culture, many likeness, right? Though the distance is quite far. And even for the African American in the United States, just hearing in this little segment, right? And we're only talking about rites of passage, right? For adolescents, children of coming at puberty, right? Which is a small level based on all of everything that is in our cultures. This will inspire someone. This will inspire someone to research. It will inspire someone to think of their children and to begin to research and look for outlets to connect. So it is very, very important for us to have programs like this with people from the African continent, no matter where it is, no matter where, which country it is. It's very inspirational, speaking as being someone born and raised in the United States. Put aside my upbringing. If I didn't have Oyotunji, I would be very lost. I can say that. I can actually say that because I have so much evidence of my peers. Also, being brought up in a culture and having rites of passage protected me even from things sexually happening to me. A lot of African Americans have dealt with molestation, even coming from within the home. Like I said, when you have a community and a society that is there to protect you, we said earlier, there are some things that cannot be settled in a household. So many tough challenges that some of my peers who didn't have a culture or these societies, they faced a lot of challenges. Some things I won't speak on this platform about, but we all know some of those things. And so by making the connection with the content, number one for me is inspiring. It can inspire and it can plant a seed to a harvest. Now, those seeds may take time to grow, like we talked about that journey of connection. But the inspiration and the opportunity to know that there are other ways to live. There are other ways to be. When it comes to raising, there's a higher standard, but it provides culture and society, traditions, and customs to bring the accountability. Ashe.
Ashe. Well, adding on that point is that the importance of us connecting is to build that bridge that Baba Malcolm talked about. A new bridge must be built whereby the continental Africans and Africans in diaspora, when they connect and then build a bridge, because without connecting, you can't build these bridges. You won't build trust. You cannot build any cooperation. You cannot do any initiatives. So it's very important so that we can create that bridge that Baba Malcolm said is the only thing that would help, bring restore dignity and respect to Black face on earth, be it you in Africa or be it you in the diaspora. Is maybe you're not just maybe you are not facing direct kind of racism or but the system itself operates on the basis of putting us down wherever we are. So that connection is really needed. And with my experience, when we connect with some people like the sister on the panel, Sister Zuna, you realize we are the same. Even walking around, she just looks like like my aunt or my sister, just family. Even with entrances, they couldn't recognize any difference. So that's her experience on the continent. And my experience, even outside the continent, you realize when you're walking down the streets, everyone else doesn't care about which culture, which ethnic group you come from. They just see your face, your skin. So we need to connect on that basis, because everything else is on that basis to put us down. No matter where you are, they just see your face and like, hello. They can put a nail on your neck. So we are all risking. We are at a risk of not breathing like what our brother went through, as we could say, and many more. So just that appearance, we should connect and understand we are same, but we have been segregated and we are going through the same system, so that we can build those bridges that are going to help us be emancipated economically. So then that after that, we can build political independence and sovereignty, so that then we can also build the military muscles. Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Peace. I'll show you.
Okay, and to add on that, just coming together and having different experiences of diverse cultures and tradition will bring the unity and oneness of the Black community, and at least we will be able to stay together as brothers and sisters with different life experiences and have good time just being one, because the main purpose of humanity is just being alive and getting good life and good experiences when you are alive. So that will be very easy when we are ready and willing to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Ashe.
Indeed, I'll show you.
I wanted to just highlight some comments, and I think there's at least two questions. There's a question for you, Sister Vicky. A brother asked, what is the name of the community you're from? What is your tribe? Sister Vicky, she's still there? Okay, now it fell off. I'll ask her if she comes back. And then there's a question for you, Sister Olajide. Um, I think in the conversation earlier, someone asked, do the people in Oyotunji marry within the village?
Okay, so yes. So, and when we say marry within the village, there are different families. So, there are different families that live in the village. So, for example, when I come from the Makinde family, my husband is here in Nigeria, and that's where the last name Ojefamola comes from. But I come from the Makinde family. So there are different families, right, that are within the village. So, say, for example, if you have a child that has gone through rites of passage, and now there is a male, right, that is interested in her. We don't date. There is a divination that is done, which is called a marriage reading. We have divination that is done to know what would this relationship, what would it be? What is the purpose, right? What are the challenges? What are the blessings that is coming from these two families becoming one? Okay, that's the first step. Divination, if someone is interested in you. Based on that divination, whatever rituals need to be done, then the next step is you would have an announcement. This is of engagement. This is something that will be done within the community. So now we have announced that, okay, this man is off the market, this woman is off the market. Then from there, after the engagement, there will be a process of marriage contract. It's not a written contract, but it's negotiations. It's the male and the woman sitting down, and it could be a family member of the bride that may do these negotiations, right? Or it could be the fiance, intended husband and the intended bride, right? For them to discuss, like, what will the roles, what will the responsibilities be, what are the expectations? Of course, there's bride price and there are gifts. Now, in our culture, it's taught that a man, you want to have land, right? You want to have a home. There are gifts that are required for the bride. And there's that whole process, right? And so beyond that, once those things are understood, then there is a date is set for the marriage. And even before the public ceremony, we go through the process of the ancestors. In our culture, ancestors is like the most important. Ancestors is very important. And so when a family is becoming one, those ancestors are now being married together. So there are rituals and ceremonies that are done for the ancestors, so we can get the support and the blessings of the ancestors of these families, these two different clans, two different compounds coming together as one through this marriage, right? And so once that is done, then now we can have that public celebration. And there's a whole process, right, that the community is a part of that. I won't get into all that because that can go long, but there's a whole process of the marriage, rites of passage. And then from there, the Iyawo, the bride, right, her feet are washed, is a part of it. And after everything is done, now she is able to go to her husband's home. But before that, there's no shacking, there's no sleeping together. You know, those things are taboo before marriage in our community. You do have people that break taboos, I'm not going to lie, you know, as you do have some Western influence, right, that has entered. But traditionally, this is what the young women are taught and the young man are taught through their rites of passage when we talk about marriage. So I hope that answers that question. But also, we can marry from the outside. Like for me, my husband is way here in Osogbo, Nigeria. So I did not marry someone from my village. And I'm here now in Osogbo. So this is my second home. I have my home, Oyotunji, in South Carolina. And I also have my home in my village here in Osogbo, Nigeria.
Yes. Thank you for explaining that. I'm going to ask Sister Vicky. Sister Vicky, if you are back on, there was a question for you about what the name of your community is that you're from, or your tribe specifically.
Yeah, I come from the Kamba community. Kamba community.
Okay. We appreciate that. And then I think there's one final question from the audience. My brother asked, how true is the mindset? I guess we're asking to Brother Karanja and Sister Vicky, how true is the mindset that most Africans do not like or get along with Black people in America?
Well, peace. And before I get to that question about the tribe Sister Vicky is coming from, there is a community in South America that is especially, just that community. You know, it was transported there a long time ago. I came to learn about it very recently. Very interesting. They live in South America. I don't know which place, but I want to get into the details of it. It's very interesting. So you at least they maintained the language there, so they have the same, but they have been there forever. So it could be the same for everyone Black person living out there if they were lucky to maintain the culture. There is a community from that tribe, from that group.
And they've traveled to South America, is what you're saying?
Sorry?
And they have traveled to South America. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, they came there a long time ago. There was like don't know how missionary or something, someone who wanted to work as a long time ago, and they transported specifically Kamba people to this place in South America, and they have maintained. Yeah, I think it's Paraguay, Kamba community in Paraguay.
Mm-hmm. That's something to look up for sure.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I've seen it.
You have any answer on the question, the audience question? So, like, how true is it?
how true is the mindset that most Africans do not like or get along with Black people in America? You realize we are still at war. So that's one thing we need to always remember. And when we are at war, these strategies, propaganda is one of it. And the war is the one thing they want to do is divide and conquer. So divide and conquer. So that's one thing they're trying to do. They want to conquer us, the Black family everywhere. So that's the war we are at. And they have to apply those strategies to spread propaganda. Such propaganda that makes those people, our family who is in America already, it starts creating perceptions, and then they already start detaching. You start detaching because listen, propaganda is so bad. So after listening something for so long on repetition, after hearing it, the first time you doubt it, the second time, yeah, you keep quiet. The third you start wondering, and maybe it's true. So after this repetition of this kind of propaganda, so you realize the division, becomes a reality. And now, rather than hearing this propaganda, you start spreading it. So you become completely conquered. So that's is a propaganda. We want to connect with our brothers out there. We want to be with you people. We copy you. We embrace your culture. So how can you hate people who you copy and who you look up to? Like, we try to be like you. We even speaking, So that's we need the awareness that we are at war, and their goal is to divide and conquer, and that strategy is propaganda.
Indeed.
Speaking truth to power. Sister Vicky, you want to add anything? I didn't ask Olajide. If you do want to comment, that's fine. But clearly you're married to a Nigerian man. So, what's really
yes. It's true, though. It's true. And when I say it's true, it's the propaganda. We have to realize that there are certain images that African descendants, everywhere in the world, whether it's London, whether they're in Africa, wherever they are, we as they call us Black Americans, right? We're not called African Americans, we're called Black Americans. At least in Nigeria, that's what they call African Americans, Black Americans. And they don't make us look good, to be honest. The propaganda and the media, they see us as wicked people. They see us as many of us are as women cash cows, many of us are being married, and it's not for love or a betterment. It's more so for a visa and an opportunity. That is real. I've seen that a lot here. I'm very blessed. That's not my case. I'm very, very blessed. But that is going on a lot. African Americans and even Caucasian women are experiencing it too. And this is all through stigma. It's all through stigma and colonization. They see us with the guns. They see us in jail. They see us robbing and stealing. These are the images that the media puts out. And so as I've had many conversations with many people from here, and they all have told me the same thing. And they all say, when they meet me, they say, but you are different. You are different. You understand culture, your etiquette, your humility, right? Just the way that you honor the culture, the way I dress, because there are many African Americans that come here that don't wear African clothes. Me, because I'm from Oyotunji, I wear African clothes every day. This is me. I didn't just put this on because I had this panel discussion. This is who I am. you know. And so because I had the privilege to be raised in my culture, I'm confident. I don't have no makeup, no lashes, no nothing, you know, on. And I'm confident in who I am, you know. And so many people in America, they need makeup, men and women. They need plastic surgery, men and women. Okay. So it's not easy for us in America. Colonization is still happening. Slavery mindset, Jim Crow, is still here. And believe it or not, in states like Florida, I'm also a Florida resident, they have wiped out slavery. I don't think that's good. Why? Because it's important for us to know what we went through, because that's our identity, and that is what traces and connects us to homeland. If you remove slavery, you think that we just arrived in America and our culture is hip hop? No. So you see the colonization, they are recolonizing our youth right here, right now. I talked to someone who was 26 years old and he had never seen a slave ship. 26 years old and never knew about slavery. I was shocked. I was shocked because he has a disconnect of his ancestry and where his ancestors came from, and understanding what our ancestors survived. If you are alive in America, that means your ancestors survived the Middle Passage. That's very important to know, because some lineages, some families ended at Middle Passage when they chose to jump off the ship. That is important. That's why we call the names of our known and unknown ancestors. We call the names of those who died in the Middle Passage. We call the names of those fortunately buried in Africa. That's why, because it's the blood that's in our veins, our DNA, our ancestors live inside of us. And so when we make that connection through programs like this, we are reactivating the blood that's in our veins. Very important. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Okay. As we close out, we are in a black state of emergency. Team RBG is signing the 1212 Ubuntu Solidarity Alarm in response, and we intend to put out consistent messaging to guide our people. Our objective must be to build communities that network together to form a nation. Connect with Team RBG. Visit our website, teamrbg.com. We currently have a collaboration effort to provide music that realigns our mind with chapter 1 of the Black State of Emergency project. Email is teamredblackgreen@gmail.com. Reach us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, IG at teamrbg_INC. Look for our logo for authentic Pan-African views aiding in our sovereignty. When you recognize that commitment outlasts doubt and excuses, that's when you know you're on code, working towards the liberation of our Black African people throughout the diaspora. Our
We
panel today
appreciate
was on roots and responsibility, evolving from youth to adulthood, adulthood to elderhood. Any final comments? Any last questions and closing remarks?
I would just like to acknowledge everyone who is a part of Team RBG. I would like to say a short prayer in the name of our collective ancestors, everyone on here and everyone watching. I call on the ancestors to provide strength, to provide leadership, to provide more support, to provide more impact, that your platform will be seen, will be heard, donations will come in for you to expand and to do more. And I pray that you will you will be victorious over any challenges that you're facing in your personal life that want to distract the mission. I pray that the ancestors give you more vision. I pray that the ancestors allow you to be acknowledged and that more collaboration comes out of this platform on this program today. In the name of the ancestors, Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you for that, Sister Olajide. Brother Karanja, Sister Vicky, do you want to share anything before we close out?
Well, so I don't have much to say. Just say let's keep on connecting as we are doing on this platform, so that we can continue building the bridges that we need, as Baba Malcolm talked about. Peace. Ashe.
Peace. Ashe.
Ashe.
To me, I'm happy to see that there are Black community that is willing to bring enlightenment to the people who does not understand about our culture and tradition. Because even in Africa, we need this knowledge, we need this education, because what we have been educated about was all about our life after colonization, without understanding that even before then we existed and we had life. So that life that we had and the life that we are supposed to be having, at least we have a platform that will be able to bring it and make everyone aware of how Black life is supposed to be.
Ashe.
Thank
Ashe.
you. So remember, you can continue to share this live out so that people can view it even after we're done, so that you can spread the information amongst your own community. So again, I appreciate our panelists for coming up and sharing their wisdom and knowledge. We greatly appreciate you. I want to say a Bibi Fahodie, a Bibi Tumi, and race first to you all.
Race first. Black Power. BB
Yes,
48.
Race first.
Black power.
Ashe.
All right. Okay.